my colleagues on both sides of the aisle, I'm an original co-sponsor of this bill, and I've noted some of the comments here, and I believe we should take a step back and ask ourselves, you know, what do we seek in our republic regarding individual rights, liberties, and freedoms? I mean, do you believe in those core tenets of our republic or not? We have an opportunity before us with this bill to push back against it. The ranking member mentioned a sweeping attack. Yes, this is what we have suffered. We have suffered as a nation, a sweeping attack against equality. That's exactly what we're fighting against. Another colleague mentioned oppression and degradation. It's exactly what we're pushing back against. This is a bill that eliminates government-sponsored oppression of individual rights, liberties, and freedoms in the land of the free. Freedom of opportunity, not result. And reflected upon the gentleman's comments of our former colleague, former Representative Gates, he's not here to defend himself. So let me speak on his behalf for all Americans accused of any crime at any level. I refer you again to our Constitution. Every American has the right to be recognized as innocent until proven guilty. Representative Gates has certainly demonstrated that he is a brilliant litigator. He's represented the interests of his district, and his own principles will sometimes vary from mine. He and I have very different opinions about some things. He's a highly qualified and brilliant man. And to attack him with accusations by name in this committee is wrong. The man's not here to defend himself. So I support the bill, Mr. Chairman. It is quite simply a strong response to the oppression of our individual rights, liberties, and freedoms as Americans, regardless of color or creed or political affiliation or where you stand upon the economic strata, what your background is or your heritage. All of us should be counted as Americans equal as we move forward through the course of our life on our journey, and we should not face obstructions that are baked into our government bureaucracies that exclude citizens strictly based upon their color, their heritage, their creed. This removes those oppressions.
That, of course, was Louisiana racist Clay Higgins finding a way to make himself the victim, as racist white Republicans often do.
You consistently said over and over the word oppression, and every time that you said it, it was almost as if I was hearing nails on a chalkboard, because it seems like you don't understand the definition of oppression, and I'd ask you to just refer to Google to help you out. Oppression is the prolonged, cruel, or unjust treatment or control. That is the definition of oppression. And so as I sit here as a black woman who practiced civil rights, let me tell you the reason that my colleagues wanted to make sure you understood the same black history that your side of the aisle wants to delete out of classrooms is because you can then misuse words like oppression. There has been no oppression for the white man in this country. You tell me which white men were dragged out of their homes. You tell me which one of them got dragged all the way across an ocean and told that you are going to go and work. We are going to steal your wives. We are going to rape your wives. That didn't happen. That is oppression. We didn't ask to be here. We're not the same migrants that y'all constantly come up against. We didn't run away from home. We were stolen. So yeah, we are going to sit here and be offended when you want to sit here and act like, and don't let it escape you that it is white men on this side of the aisle telling us, people of color on this side of the aisle, that y'all are the ones being oppressed. that y'all are the ones that are being harmed. That's not the definition of oppression. You tell me the prolonged, cruel, or unjust treatment that you've had, and we can have a conversation.
You could start with Exodus.
The final thing that I will say on this particular issue, two things. There is an article from The Guardian, and it is a little old. It's from 2021, so I apologize. But it said that back then, just 3 years ago, white men represent 30% of the population, but 62% of office holders. These are the issues that we are constantly looking at and recognizing and trying to say, is this just? I can't even tell you how many white men have served in this chamber, but I can tell you that I am only the 55th black woman to be elected to Congress. And so when you want to talk about history and pretend as if it was so long ago, it wasn't. Because again, I am just number 55. Finally, when we start to talk about what do these numbers do as we're trying to say that diversity, equity, and inclusion is the problem, the reality is that when it comes to financial performance, companies with more diverse workforces are more likely to outperform their competitors. Companies in the top quartile for racial diversity are 35% more likely to outperform their peers on profitability. Companies with diverse executive teams are 25% more likely to generate greater profits. Diverse companies earn 2.5 times higher cash flow per employee. Diversity works. And until you can show me data that says otherwise, I think that we need to go back to being a country that listens to experts and gets out of our feelings and recognizes, again, that racism is real in this country. And until we stop pretending that it's not, we will not solve the problems that we are consistently facing. And that will bring real unity that we seek when we're looking for a more perfect union.
Furthermore, I will direct the Department of Justice to pursue federal civil rights cases against schools that continue to engage in racial discrimination and schools that persist in explicit, unlawful discrimination under the guise of equity will not only have their endowments taxed, but through budget reconciliation, I will advance a measure to have them fined up to the entire amount of their endowment. A portion of the seized funds will then be used as restitution for victims of these illegal and unjust policies that hurt our country so badly. Colleges have gotten hundreds of billions of dollars from hardworking taxpayers, and now we are going to get this anti-American insanity out of our institutions once and for all. We are going to have real education in America.
So it's absolutely hilarious watching, just the Republican Party pretending like they are being oppressed. Because whites make up over 60% of the population in this country. And, you see things like the Great Replacement Theory. They don't hide it on Fox News and all the right-wing media outlets. Pretty much all they talk about is, oh my God, the brown immigrants are coming, because they're afraid of losing their majority. In fact, I covered this on my channel the other day about how Walmart is pulling back on their DEI initiatives, pulling back on their efforts to work with black and brown businesses, women-led businesses, LGBTQ and veteran-led businesses, because they caved to conservative pressure about woke corporate America, which is hilarious given the fact that corporate America basically owns the country and decides what legislation gets passed and doesn't get passed in this country. The idea that they're woke because they want to include people in the process is hilarious. They say things like, we got to get corporate America back to sanity. AKA we have to coddle white people's feelings and make sure that all the racist bigots in this country don't feel like they're being oppressed. And of course, oppression to them is a little bit of equality. You sprinkle a little bit of equity and equality onto the sandwich, and as far as they're concerned, that's a line too far.